Hey, what's up, Fizzy? How's it going? Let me just turn this off real quick. So, this is not an episode. This is actually a sub update within the episode because I was playing around with a lot of things all day and I figured out the issue that I was having with the quality of the fucking stream, and that's what I want to address over here real quick. So, let me just go through all of this real fast. Here comes the intro. So here's the idea. In these sub updates, I've decided that I will just give quick updates regarding the back end things of the show, and so that way they don't take up the whole space of an episode in the show. And it'll look something like this, and I'll just go into it just because to lead by example. The sub update is related to the glitches that we were having in our previous episode, previous first episode of the show, or aka the 41st video. We were having dropped, I think they're called dropped frames and glitchy fucking things in laggy stream and video, and I wanted to stream in 1080p. So I've, after an intense amount of trial and error, I have finally figured out, based on what we have at our home and stuff, what settings work. So first of all, here's the baseline setting that will work: 720p, 30 frame fps, and 2500 bitrate on the phone, on a wide lens, a wide angle, and the same thing over here on OBS, 30 FPS on 720p, so 720p at 30 FPS at 2500 bitrate on OBS. This setting will, when you stream on this setting, this is the baseline setting, the worst case of the worst case setting, where if you stream on this, there is no chance of your stream breaking up, lagging, or the frames and the pictures being all messed up. Now, after this, the next setting that we have, oh, also on OBS, make sure that your fucking let me open up the exact thing that it's called. Make sure that in the output section in your video encoder, it is NVIDIA NVENC H.264. Make sure it's that value and not X64 or whatever X value that you show up. Basically, that X value is the GPU, and if it's the X value, well, what I just said is the GPU values. X value means the computer's GPU is being used, which means when you stream on this, it's shit, and your CPU usage spikes up to like 50-60%. When you change it to NVIDIA NVENC H.264, that means that now when you stream, it's the external, the other NVIDIA's GPU that's being used, and that is the proper fucking video encoder you want to use. And because that the streaming work is being offloaded to that GPU, now your CPU usage has dropped to like 20%, 20 to 30%, maybe 40% once in a while. So make sure that setting is there. And also, with this, your upload speed has ranged from like 0.3 mbp 0.7 mbps all the way up to 1920 mbps, with most of the time being in the 17 to 19 mbps upload speed. So I want to say like 85% of the time of the day it's in that range, and 10% like well, the remaining 15% is in the 0.7 mbps to like 5-6 mbps per range. That's it. So with those settings, and also with this, also mention the ISO, just keep it to like 100 or 200. The white balance, keep it to 6200 because of your skin tone. 6200 is a better white balance for you, and usually it's 5600 if you want to match the light, but for your skin tone, if you want to match your skin tone, you make it 6200. And the shutter speed, just keep it to like 1 out of 100 or 1 out of 50. So let me just make sure I have those settings up over here. Yep, so you see, those settings are not up, and I bet that has changed lots of things quite a bit. So let me just make sure here that all the things are correctly lit up. All right. The other thing, so now that's that. So with that, the baseline, that everything I said over there is your baseline settings. We don't want to stream in 720p, but if the internet is shit or for whatever reason we're not able to get the good quality results, we can always dial down to 720p at 30 fps and at 2500 bitrate. Now the setting that we have finally figured out that we can shoot at is, given that all those other things remain the same, remain constant, we can and we do, and that's what this video is on with this setting. We can shoot at 1080p at 30 frames per second at 6000 bit rate. This video is being shot at that, and I love it because it's 1080p, it's HD. And then given all these other settings were the same as the one before. What now? That's the limit. That's the maximum limit, like the 1080p and the 30 frames per second and the 6000 bit rate. Now what we cannot do, or rather what I mean is, if we exceed this limit, our video will get fucked up, and that is effectively if we go 1080p at 60 frames per second at 6000 bit rate. That's when the video will start glitching and all this shit. So, basically don't go above 30 fps on the 1080p video quality, and keep it at 6000 bit rate for 1080p. For 720, you can bring it down to 2500 bit rate, and keep that at 30 fps as well. So that's the limits that we found, and that's how we get 1080p HD quality videos. And this right now is being shot at 1080p at 30 frames per second at 6000 bit rate. The thing about bitrate, quick note I've learned is that 2500 is a bitrate for 720p, and 6000 bitrate is the preferred bitrate for 1080p. Effectively, what bitrate is the amount of upload speed. So you have your internet upload speed, right? Say for example, it's 15 mbps. Out of that, if you take you basically take a percentage of that and use it for your speed bitrate for your streaming. You can look it up; it'll make more sense to you then. You've learned it. The other thing that we learned is so just keep it at that. And let me just make sure. Let me gather my thoughts here real quick before this update finishes. The bottlenecks. Oh yeah, the bottlenecks. So basically, here are the bottlenecks. Number one, the bottlenecks. A big bottleneck was that your laptop was using the video encoder of X64, whatever the fuck it was called. Even in the smart section of whatever, it was using X64. Even in OBS's, if you go to OBS output, and in the output mode, you see that advanced, even in that advanced tab, when you go down into the encoder, video encoder, over there, it was showing EX64, whatever. But when you go to the simplified mode, over there, it would show hardware. So, you have to change it in the advanced mode. You have to go to advanced mode and change the video encoder to your NVIDIA encoder like that. That way, your computer makes sure that it's using the external GPU and not and reducing the CPU usage like that. The other bottleneck was matching the FPS and the pixel quality between the phone and the laptop. So basically, the phone has its own 1080p, 720p at frame rates 30 and 60, and OBS has its own 1080p, 720p, and 30 frame rates, 60 frame rates per second, and they each have their own bit rates, right? So all these values between the two must match. There were many times where your phone was at 1080p 60 bit frame FPS 6000 bit rate, but your OBS was at 720p 30 FPS 5000 bitrate. Those didn't match. So what was being output was the bottleneck of 720p, and that looked like shit. On the flip side, also this happened is that your laptop, your OBS had a 1080p uh, and 30 FPS and whatever bitrate it had, and your phone had 720p. Your phone was shooting at 720p at 60 FPS at whatever bitrate it was having. So there, the bottleneck itself was in the phone that was shooting. So you see how that's a bottleneck, a big one. So it was that was bottlenecks, a bunch of bottleneck over there. The encoder, the matching thing. The other thing was what bitrate to have for each section, for each frame, for each pixel quality. So 1080p is preferred to have 6000 bitrate, and 720p is preferred to have 2500 bitrate. Just remember that. You can also get a percentage of you can also do this by having a percentage of your upload speed. So if your upload speed is 5 mbps, which translates to 5000 kilobytes per second, then you can get like 80% of that. So that comes up to be 4 megabits out of 4 kbps, 4 kilobytes, 4000 kilobytes out of that 5000 kilobytes. So now you have those 4000 kilobytes of upload available. So you know that you can get 4000 kilobytes, and the closest one when it comes to streaming to that is 2500 bitrate, which bitrate is basically kilobytes per second. So 2500 bitrate, so 2500 bitrate translates into 720p, which means if your internet speed is 5 mbps, you are better off streaming at 720p at 30 frame rates. That'll just make it a smoother stream. That's how you can figure it out and understand what resources you have and how to use them. The other thing is, there we go. I forgot. I had something in my mind. We had the bitrate, and then the other thing was the internet. The internet is our internet is 17.9 mbps upload. It does drop down to 3-4 mbps upload randomly, so just keep an eye out for that. And let me just make sure I have what else I have here to cover. Oh yeah, a huge one. Oh yeah, a couple other ones. So every time we run a speed test on the internet, our stream becomes shit. So keep that in mind. If you're streaming and you run an internet speed test, the stream will become shit, laggy for those few seconds, and then it'll pick back right up as the speed test gets done. So the quality will become better. When we have our video encoder to be x64, our stream becomes shit. Then yeah. And now here's the other thing that I found out. Every time you make a change on your camera on your iPhone or your OBS, and I mean change as in like if you change your camera settings from 720p to 1080p or a bitrate from 6000 to 2500, any of those kind of changes on the camera or on the laptop, then restart the app. Restart the camera and close the camera app and start it up again on your phone, and close the OBS app and start it up again in OBS. So that actually resolved a bottleneck that we were having multiple times. That resolved a major bottleneck for us, one of the major bottlenecks we had. And so that's a major one. Now another bottleneck that we had was that these two free values not matching. Make sure the pixel values and the bit rates and the frame rate values match. Otherwise the stream will be shit or it'll lag. Now, okay, 1080p, yeah. So that's what we have for the backend production. So with this production setting, removing all the bottlenecks that we just talked about, mentioned, and having like whatever internet speed that we have, we can stream, and we are streaming currently with this video and further videos at 1080p at 30 frames per second at 6000 bitrate. And this is independent of whatever internet fluctuations happen. We've tested that multiple times. So if your internet speed even drops down even to 0.7 mbps, you can still stream 1080p quality videos, given that you follow the rules that we just described. There's also a backup to this. If for whatever reason the 1080p doesn't work, or if you decide to not do 1080p, you can do the other option as a backup that you have is do a 720p stream at 30 fps at 2500 bitrate. That will work no matter what. So anybody on the phone can see it. The resolution on the TV will be shit because TV resolutions, I don't know how it is. The TV that we have is shit, so that doesn't wouldn't look good on the TV anyway, regardless of what resolution we have. So 720p at 30 fps, 2500 bitrate. The one constant thing amongst all of this is keep things at 30 fps. I know 60 fps looks good, but 30 fps is what's viable. That's what, with the resources you have, that's the maximum limit. So if you go above 30 fps, your stream becomes so shit it's unbearable, unwatchable. It literally glitches, and you can hear some sounds of glitches in there, and bad pixels falling and everything. And that happens every like couple seconds. So it's every couple seconds. So like it'll be a glitch, then another frame, and the glitch, and another frame, and glitch, another frame. So you don't want that. So stick to 30 fps. Don't go to 60 fps. With this, here, and then so this is the setup, the back end. Along with that, we also talked about lighting. So we will talk about lighting in a bit. Just before that, we talked about the ISO, shutter, and all this stuff, the speed. You can play around with it. For us right now, the numbers that seem to work are 6200 on the white balance, 1 out of 100 or 1 out of 50, either one for the shutter speed, and ISO is either 100 or 200, 100 to 200. That way the ISO, that low value of ISO makes sure that the video is not grainy and it's smooth. And the shutter speed, the S 1 out of 100, 1 out of 60 is also good. Makes sure that the video is smooth. The white balance of 6200 is based on your skin tone. That value, it seems like, is the best for to represent your skin as it looks to you in real life. The white balance of 5600 is what white light is, which is good. It captures white light. It doesn't capture our skin tone. It just doesn't. It makes us look bad. Like it's not even real. So we have to, if we are to sacrifice, we'll sacrifice everything else and maintain the subject, which is us. So we have to make sure that our skin tone is being captured the right way it is in the device. So for that reason, we played around with the white balance, and it turns out that to us it seems, and so far, is that 6200 white balance is the white balance for our skin tone. Now I don't know how everything else looks, but I don't give a fuck. I'm sacrificing everything to keep the subject, myself, looking the way I look in real life. That's the white balance thing. So those are the settings. Now the other thing, last but not least, because this thing has like fucking took a long time to figure this out, but we did. And now that we did, we just want to record it and share it with us so we don't forget, and we can refer back to it later on, is that when it comes to understanding lighting, we have three lights actually. Background light, background light, which is over there. Backfill is good. It's pointed. It does the job. It's pretty good actually. Make sure the shadows don't show up in the back and separates us from the background. Then we have two lights. One key light, supposedly key light here, and a filler light. And I play around with them. Now initially we tried a lot to just fucking figure out positioning lights here and there and figure out where the shadows are, trying to fucking squint and understand, but we didn't, because everything looked like, after a point I couldn't tell the difference where the shades are and where the shades aren't. So what we came across and we learned and now we utilize is, in order to solve that problem for exposure and shade, is false colors. This is what false colors are. Now effectively there's a whole scale to it for the coloring thing. What you want to do with false colors is all these colors that you see, they represent the exposure level, meaning you're looking for green, pink, and light gray. So what you want to do is for your face to be 70% or more of green, pink, or light gray. That means that means your face is lit up well, and it will show up nicely. Everything else, don't worry about it. Don't worry about your body. Don't worry about anything else. Now I'll give you an example. You see the lighting right now? Our naked eye could not tell this, but now that with this fucking software, we really can. And it is like over here, I see that this area and oh, also blue means it's completely not exposed. So over here, this is completely not exposed, and over here is shade. But over here we see that there's lighting and exposure here. So let me just put my finger over here. So basically what this tells us is we need to put more light over here if we want this to be showing more. And to us, this portion is not lit at all. So let's see what that looks like. From here downwards, from there downwards, there's no fucking light. So if you were to remove false colors, see, it's hard for your eyes to tell. But as you see, as you follow the thumb, you cannot even see my jawline, right? Unless I like do something about it. So the way you play around with that is you basically want to move your lights around until 70% or more of your face is green, light gray, or pink. So you know what? Fuck it. Let's remove this out of the frame. Now here we are. And if I was to just make this a little bit brighter. Turns out these lights are not that bright. I guess we need brighter lights to light up our skin. That's okay, because now we're able to identify all of that with false colors. We could not tell that without false colors. We could not eyeball this. We tried so hard, we couldn't. So let's just bring this down, and we can just play around with it. And now you can see if we want to light ourselves up, we can light everything up like that. So you know what, I'm glad we're doing this live, because this will show us a lot. It teaches a lot of things. So we just want to get our face to be exposed, and our face is so underexposed. So if we were to light ourselves up, then it would look something like, I don't mind leaving light here as long as my neck is exposed, right? So if my neck is exposed, my jaw can show, because I have beard here anyway, so that's okay. That'll be dark anyway. What I want to light is this area, especially my forehead, which gets a lot of shade. So if I want to put this here, maybe if I play around with the IS setting. Alright, so I increase the ISO setting. Let's see if that makes a difference. So if we move this a bit here, you see now my face is much more exposed. There's shade here, there's shade over here, that's okay. There's shade here, but that's my beard. But you see all of this is light gray, green, or pink. And my neck is also exposed except this little portion here and this blue area here. That's okay because my neck is lighter than my line here, so I'll see my line anyway. And you see how I'm lighting it up without eyeballing it? I'm lighting it up based on the data from false colors. And if I was to now remove false colors and take a look at my face, it's pretty well fucking lit. right? So that's good. I hate how these things show up over here. These ring lights show up over here. So let's see if we can remove that somehow. The only way to remove these is those is if you somehow put it on top. So what if I just raise it a little bit, right? Let's raise it. And then and then we can bring this down and remove it out of the fucking frame. Don't know why this is showing up in the frame so much. Alright, and okay, so I think, yeah, so that way that can light up this portion of my face. The only thing is here, this section still shows up in my eyes. So what I want to do is I'll raise it. I'll raise that. Maybe I need a third light for my neck over here because, yeah. Well, that's the, and then that way I know this portion of my face is lit up pretty well. This portion is not. So let's see how that looks here. And that's how it looks. You see? That's how I light myself now with false colors. I don't have anything. Oh, I actually do. So let me just get rid of that real quick. Not a problem. So you see there, that goes away. And then that goes away. So now this is gonna make me look a little more cinematic, I suppose. But you see, I'm still exposed pretty well. Better than, and I just did this over like a couple minutes without having to do the guesswork. So this is what I look like now. So you see, this is HD. This is 1080p fucking shit. And I just lit myself up using false colors. I'm no longer eyeballing it. I don't have anything showing up in my eyes. And I'm just, you know, I'm just talking. Maybe I'll get another light which I'll use to light up my neck area, maybe my beard area, who knows, depending on how much detail I want to put there. So far, for now it's pretty fucking good, you know? So that is how we light ourselves now. This is all the stuff that we've been working on trying to figure this out. And you see, even now when I move, sometimes I get this light. So what if I just put it even more higher? Just even higher. There's no such thing as more higher. So there we go. And is our exposure affected? Yeah, it is a little bit. Not a problem. There. And then, yeah, there we go. And just like that. And as we move around, it's okay if it shows up a little bit. The point is, majority of the time it doesn't show up. And that's good. Because of our darker skin tone than a lot of people, we have to learn how to light ourselves in different ways. And this tool so helps us out. It is so helpful. Because our skin doesn't reflect light as much as other skin tones do, which is okay. This is something we gotta learn. So there's doesn't seem to be a lot of information out. Well, there does. So that's how I was able to learn all of this. It's just we had to learn all of this, and we're still learning. So we'll definitely are getting better at it. The point I'm trying to make is this is what we used to light ourselves up now, and it is so much better than trying to fucking eyeball this and that and having one key light, that key light, all of that stuff. Now, honestly, we can just use this false color and just fucking figure everything out on the fly. Couple of minutes we can play around with like 50 ideas of lighting ourselves up in different ways. So that's what the sub update is for. That's it. That's all I had. This is not an official episode. It's just a sub update. And the show is still following the same format. So the next episode onwards, you'll still follow the same format of welcome, what I plan to do, make money, a good thing about myself, next video improvement, what I did today to make money, who is Fizzy, software, questions and answers, and remarks, and followed by end. And with that being said, thank you for watching this sub update. Thank you, Fizzy. You're a fucking beast. Keep at it. Take care. God bless. Fizzyhead out.